Добрый вечер с Брюсселю. Сегодня в нашей студии Philippe Adriaenssens. И он президент организации «Молодые европейские федералисты». Организация, яка об'єдновує по своїм крилом більше як 35 тисяч молодих європейців. Сьогодні ми розмовляємо про демократію і починаємо з апошніх подій у Киргизстані. Mr Adriaenssens, another revolution in Kyrgyzstan, the second within 5 last years after Tulips revolution, and mostly young faces on in the screen. How these events are seen from Brussels?
How these events are seen from Brussels? Well, I cannot speak for Brussels as a whole, but within my organization, the Young European Federalists, we of course encourage all democratic reforms everywhere in the world, especially in Europe, but also in Europe's immediate neighborhood and the surrounding countries. So, at the same time, we regret when violence takes place, but we understand the underlying causes of why these events are happening. And again, they show that people, especially young people, in many countries, especially in Central Asia, are yearning for more democracy. They are fed up with corrupt governance, they want to see more freedom, they want to see their human rights respected, and this is why, of course, they revolt. And this is why we can only hope now that when looking to the future, there will be elections in 6 months' time, and that both the media laws and the electoral laws will be brought in accordance with the international standards, so that Kyrgyzstan can evolve towards a stable,
that will be later, maybe. But you mentioned violence. How violence and revolution can coexist with democracy?
One can elaborate on whether the goal justifies the means. It is not in my intention to judge morally on these events. What we find important is that everywhere where people were oppressed under Sovietic regime and afterwards under dictatorial regimes, they now stand up for the liberties, that they promote and want to foster debate in society, and people are always looking for means to express themselves. If they do not have the freedom of assembly, if they do not enjoy the freedom of association, then people look for different channels. This is why we can understand the situation, and why we, of course, also within our organization, promote democratic reforms, youth exchanges, and why we have our street actions Europe-wide in order to point the attention to the EU institutions to the need of building democracy and respect for human rights in Europe's neighborhood.
And what is your assessment of the situation when former Democrat Kurmanbek Bakiyev in Kyrgyzstan, and for example, Alexander Lukashenko, former reformer in Belarus, actually appeared to be dictators? So do you think that a democracy is possible in the countries which for years were under Soviet totalitarian regime?
I am convinced that democracy is possible anywhere. And I also, as somebody who loves studying history, sees that there is one big historic evolution towards more democracy, more freedom all over the world. So we can only encourage these reforms, and I am very sure that even though it can take time before the mentality of the people change, before the mentality, especially in the political will, is there within the establishment, within the political class, of wanting to push through reforms that give out the power from the hands of the elite to the people, that then democracy can flourish everywhere. And it's very important that bottom-up grassroots organizations try to promote these reforms, because just waiting for them is often not the best strategy.
And according to your website, a young federalist, is to give the word. One of the purposes of young federalist, according to your website, is to give the word democracy a meaning. What do you mean, actually?
Well, democracy stems from the Greek demos and kratein. It means the rule by the people. It means that a government must be led by the people, for the people, and together with the people. And this is how democracy must be implemented everywhere. It is very important that elections take place without, whenever we see that leaders, be it in Belarus or Kyrgyzstan, are elected with a majority of more than 80–85%, then of course we immediately think that these elections are not free or fairly organized. And this is also the judgment of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the OSCE. And this is how and why we want to promote democratic reforms. This can happen in law by allowing organizations to campaign freely, to allow the press to express themselves on any matters of public concern, and to allow people to